This is a legendary program, a legendary coach, and has impacted the lives of so many people there in Waco. So we want to celebrate and have a beautiful celebratory attitude today. I'm Holly Rowe. You might know me from covering women's college basketball, football, basketball, volleyball, you name it, on ESPN. And I agreed to do this today because I have been obsessed with Kim Mulkey for most of my life. She is one of the most intriguing, successful, unique people I have ever run across in all of the people that I cover. And so I really would love to celebrate her and dig into what makes her unique and special. So we want to get some of the best Baylor Bears who have played there for Coach Mulkey to come on and help celebrate her today. So first of all, I want to let you know that there will be a Q&A section, and those will be answered near the end of our event, but you can put your questions over in that Q&A function and we will get to those as we continue our conversation today. We'd also like to give a special thanks to the Baylor Alumni Engagement Program and the Baylor Athletic Department, Baylor Athletics. So first and foremost, I would like to introduce Danielle Crockram-Fontenot. Danielle played from 1999 to 2002 and was part of one of the most dramatic turnarounds in all of college sports. I love this piece of her story because she was on a team that was 7-20, but still performed well, 12 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. But the next season, under the first-year head coach, Kim Mulkey, Cockram earned all Big 12 and All-America honors in helping the Lady Bears win 21 games. Welcome, Danielle.
Hi, Holly. How are you?
Great. So nice to have you with us. And now we will introduce Sophia Young Malcolm, who played from 2002 to 2006. Coming to America from the West Indies as a 15-year-old foreign exchange student, Sophia Young's basketball skills and knowledge were very limited, but she became a 2-time All-American at Baylor and helped lead the Lady Bears to their first national championship in 2005. She was the 4th pick in the 2006 WNBA draft and was the face of the San Antonio Stars franchise in a 10-year WNBA career. Welcome, Sophia.
Thank you, Holly. It's good to be here.
So good to see you. Also a very special player who played from 2013 to 2017, a 3-time All-American, one of the best to ever put on that green and gold. Nina Davis was an integral part of 4 Elite 8 teams for Baylor, scored over 2,000 points and had over 1,000 rebounds. And in 2015, she earned the Big 12 Conference Women's Player of the Year. Hey, Nina.
Hey, Holly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So wonderful. Next up is someone with an intimate knowledge of our coach, Kim Mulkey, Mackenzie Robertson Fuller. I first met her when she was 12 years old, playing in the Little League World Series for softball. And there was this loud woman in the stands that was her mother. I'm just kidding. That was such a fun memory that I have, meeting Mackenzie when she was 12. During her time as a Lady Bear, she posted a 140-10 record, which included 8 Big 12 crowns and a national championship in 2012. She was a 3-time academic All Big 12 honoree and was named to both Baylor's Dean's List, the Big 12 Commissioner's Honor Roll numerous times. She just completed her 6th season as a full-time member of the women's basketball staff and serving as the Associate Director of Basketball Operations. So nice to have Mackenzie Robertson Fuller on with us.
Hi, Holly.
How are you?
Good.
Good to have you. Okay, next up we have Moon Urson, who played from 2019 to 2020. She's still part of this team as she decides what to do with her last season. She is graduating. She is walking across that stage on Thursday. We're so proud of Moon and her accomplishments with her kinesiology degree. She played such a high level, all games her sophomore year, all games her junior year, and was a 2019 national champion. She was also a 2-time academic All Big 12 member. And I honestly believe, covering that game myself, that if Dee Richards doesn't get hurt, she would be on another national championship team. This Baylor team was primed to win it, other than that terrible injury. Joining us now is Moon Urson. Thank you, Moon.
Thanks, Holly.
Okay, so first and foremost, I just kind of want to go in order of how I just introduced you. A quick, what are you doing now? I think that's such a fun part of what we're doing is what has Baylor springboarded you off to in your futures?
I guess I'm up, huh?
Yeah.
Currently, I am an inner work coach, which is I do counseling and helping women to go through some of those blockages and stuff, remove some of that good stuff. So I'm an inner work coach currently.
Nice. Well, for me, as you read, Holly, I went off to the WNBA and played there for quite a number of years and retired and had 2 babies. I'm living here in San Antonio and got into real estate for a little bit, but possibly thinking to get back to Baylor and do some work in the spiritual ministry area with sports.
That's beautiful.
I am living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee now. That's about 15 minutes outside of Nashville. And I'm working for Middle Tennessee as the women's basketball assistant coach. Just trying to rub off on what coach taught me. So.
And as you said, I've been at Baylor since I can remember. And so now I'm kind of open-ended in that, having another baby next month. So just being a mom and in Waco for now.
I am spending this little time that I have at home, enjoying my family, and trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next.
Yeah, it's so exciting because I feel like in some way basketball has impacted all of your lives. So I wanted to start with Danielle because we were just on our pre-Zoom call and Moon Urson is talking about possibly being a pediatrician or if she should go into nursing and what she's doing with her next chapter. And Danielle, you immediately jumped in coaching her. So I love that that's what you're doing for a living because you said, pediatrician is possible, you should go for it. How do you feel like your time there at Baylor with one of the most competitive women I've ever been around has helped you, kind of be that person where you can be competitive and push people in a positive direction?
What I'm doing right now is almost literally directly related to my time there at Baylor University and under Coach Kim. I call her Coach Kim, by the way. But it was her influence upon me. I believe that she pushed me beyond what I thought were limits that I put upon myself that I couldn't, go to another level. But she really taught me to push through and require more of myself. And so with me talking to Moon in that moment, like you said, tapping into that, it's the dialogue, like how we talk to ourselves. And she taught me a lot about that, about the things that I say to myself and what I internally think is possible. So it's literally directly, and so much of it kind of transcends, like the things that I learned there transcends into what I do now. I relate to basketball and scenarios all the time because our greatest opponent is ourselves. So
I really love that. So this is, I think people forget, and I always love this going back, and I've read Coach Mulkey's book, and I just think she's one of the most fascinating people in the world. So she grew up, won 4 straight high school championships. She was the valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA, 2 national titles as a player, a national championship as an assistant at Louisiana Tech. And then we just talked about, she takes over Baylor when they're 7-20 in that first season and turns it around in this dramatic fashion. So I want to go, Danielle, I'll start with you again, and then we'll go Sophia, Nina, Mackenzie, Moon. I want each of you to tell me, how did she push you to get out of your comfort zone? Give me a fun, like a memory. It may not be fun. It may have been like a horrible moment, but like she pushed me to do X and it brought something to my life.
I know the exact moment, and because I talk about it often, that moment where I was we were in a practice, and prior, I just wasn't used to going that speed or at that intensity, and I didn't know that was required at the time to help me grow as a player. But we were in a practice and we were running drills, and I was exhausted. I was really tired. And so I'm on the sideline and I'm hugging my shorts, I'm leaning over and I'm trying to catch my breath. And she comes over, her tiny self, she comes over and she grabs me by my jersey and pushes me up. And she's like, Crockram, when you're able to push past this point, you'll be an All-American. And in that moment, I didn't know necessarily what she meant, but she was saying there's another level. Like, you're tired right now, but there's something else. You just need to get your conditioning, your mind, and there's going to be I'm going to shift. And so in that moment, when she challenged me, And I realized that she saw in me the potential to be an All-American, to be a WNBA player. And I guess that hit me in a type of way. And from then on, it was a different me out in the court.
That's right. You went on to become an All-American. And Sophia, I feel like maybe you had a similar experience of you had this talent and this thing inside of you, but it took some building to really mold it into that national championship season. What was your moment?
Well, I think we all have so many different moments, like individuality as an individual where like that personal connection with Coach Mulkey. And for me, my true moment of how I saw her as a person who cared about me was when her and I had a one-on-one meeting in her office. And so it wasn't on the court, but it had everything to do with what was on the court. This was my sophomore year, and I was going through a really, really rough time, and I felt like, I didn't know if I wanted to continue playing basketball. I didn't know if I wanted to continue being at Baylor. And there were so many different things that were going on within my world as how I viewed myself as a player, how I viewed myself as an individual, and what the things that were going on around me. So her and I had a 3-hour meeting in her office, and we went throughout practice. Practice was canceled that day because it was such a serious moment for me. And obviously, as a young person, 19, 20-year-old, you're trying to figure out life, and I'm there crying and boohooing and just going off. And I was a very, very shy person. I pretty much, like, everybody ran over me. And so that point, that was all the things that I was going through and dealing with and trying to process. And so the conversation that her and I were having was a very, very bold move from my point, because I was speaking from my heart and telling her exactly what was going on in my mind and what I was actually feeling. And so her and I came to a conclusion as to what should happen. And obviously I stayed at Baylor. And from that moment on, I think a lot of things changed in the way that I saw myself, in the way that I viewed her, in the way that I viewed my talent and my capabilities. And so that moment for me was that transformational moment to how far I will go in my basketball career. But didn't happen on the court, it happened in her office on the couch.
Oh my gosh. It's so amazing because you talk about you're in this moment and you're homesick probably and you're tired of everything that's going on, and you could have easily quit or transferred, and your story wouldn't be the same. You become the national champion, you go to the WNBA. Like, think of how instrumental those moments are. I know, Nina, you've probably got a similar story. What was something that you look back on that Kim Mulkey helped you with?
I think the story that always sticks out to me whenever I go back to Baylor in Moon class and whatever class that come after me, she would always make sure to tell them. So it was my freshman year around August, September. So at the time I'm a freshman, Mackenzie, Odyssey, that whole crew, they're seniors. And at Baylor, we always have MAL tests and different things like that. And I made it no secret from day one that Mackenzie's already laughing. I made it no secret from day one that me and running, we just don't mix. Like, running is a part of basketball, but it wasn't for me. It's a different thing that I've always dealt with. So we had a MAL test, and coach came in and she's riding around a bike in the weight room. So we're stretching and she was like, I have a great idea. She was like, you guys don't have to do the MAL test if you're able to chase out the meet on this bike. So, at the time it sounded simple. Like, it's just Coach Mulkey, she's gonna ride this bike and you just have to run behind her. How hard could it be? So we go outside, and she didn't say she's going to ride through the parking lot, down the street. It's 95. It's the hottest day in Waco. It's so hot outside. But everybody else, they're just pushing along. Mackenzie's up there in the front. Like, it's nothing. They're just having the time of their life chasing the bike. And I'm in the back. I'm talking about so far in the back. I'm about to pass out. And so at the time, she was like, if anybody stopped running, we would have to do it over or do the MAL test. So at the time, I'm not mentally tough. I'm just a freshman. I don't have this in me yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm delirious from not sleeping at night. I'm homesick. So I begin to walk almost. And Odyssey runs to the back and she grabs me. So she's literally at this point dragging to make me finish. And so once we finally get done touring Waco, it's if I wanted to tour on foot, we get back to the gym. And that day, once we're in the locker room, she went off on me, like off where I, at the time as an 18-year-old, I have never been going off on that. I would not repeat how that conversation went. And I think that was the first time that I had a real reality check. And I was determined as a little freshman just to hold it together, but I could just feel my heart because I was getting ready to just explode in tears. But I was like, I will not cry in front of my teammates. I will not. And I remember as soon as she got done going off, she's like, how can you gonna play at Baylor? You can run for 20 minutes nonstop. And I can't tell a Hall of Famer that, coach, I'm gonna be okay, but me running outside is not me running on the court. I can play 40 minutes, but you can't tell me to run on a treadmill for 10 minutes. It's just a thing. It's not for me. And so I remember just going home and calling my parents immediately, telling them this is not for me. This lady is crazy. Like, she just went off on me because I can't run outside in 100-degree weather. It's not even basketball. But, then I knew that she was going to challenge me. And after that, like, I started to expect more from myself and push more. And hey, I got better with running the mile in like 7 minutes before I graduated. And for me, that's just amazing accomplishment. I will never run it again, but hey.
But you did that day. I think that's so interesting because Danielle, that's exactly what you just said. If you had all these things in your head, I don't run outside. I don't do it on the treadmill. Like, you had to teach yourself, like, I'm just going to have to open myself up and start doing things that I didn't think I could do or should do, because that's what it's going to take to be great. Absolutely. Okay, Mackenzie, this is intriguing because I have long wanted to ask you a million questions of, like, I can't even imagine growing up with your mom as your mom because I know how crazy I am as a mother. Like, I remember yelling at my son one time, we are an extra credit family. This is what we do. And I'm like, I know she's way more out there than I am. So tell me about a mom story and then a coach story of a moment in a practice or your breakthrough.
Okay. I mean, obviously I've got probably a million stories. But I think that one of the misconceptions of her as a mom versus a coach is, like, everyone just sees how intense she is on the sidelines, or how, like, all these stories, like, she brings it out of you, which she does do as a mom as well, but it's really in a completely different way. And she's much more laid back. I think one story that comes to mind that would probably surprise people is, you'd think she'd, like, be all over me and my brother as we were growing up with our grades or school or just really anything. And I remember when we first moved to Waco, I think I was in third grade, but it was my next year, my fourth grade year. And I guess I inherited it from her. Like, I was very studious. I wanted to be a perfectionist and get things right. And so my mom got a phone call from my teacher one day, and the teacher, had only heard and seen her on the court and didn't really know her, and was like, Coach, I think you need to take it easy on Mackenzie. She comes in and she can't handle, like, missing a question or do anything. And my mom just listened, and at the very end of the conversation, she was just like, I appreciate you telling me, and that's all great, but I don't even check her homework, so that has nothing to do with me. So it's just this perception that everyone has about her, when in reality she would come home and just be a mom. She wants the best for us, but she didn't push us to too far limits or go too crazy with the momming. So that's just I don't know why that one sticks out in my head, that everyone would probably expect that she's putting all this pressure on us growing up. And in reality, she's just sitting in the living room or out in the yard working on the flower beds. And I guess for my basketball career, there's probably a lot of those stories too, but nothing specific really sticks out. I think it's more of just my career in general, going into college and throughout college. She's realistic with me going in, that who you have in front of you. I mean, I was going in, Odyssey was in my class. We had Brittany Griner and Nene Hayden, Jordan Madden, Melissa, like, we had an unbelievable team. And that's what I was coming into as a freshman. So she was very realistic with me. And I think that decision to still come to Baylor, which I'm sure came from just her impact over the years and being competitive and wanting to win championships and push myself to be more than I thought I could. She may have questioned if I could ever play there, but she still gave me that chance to make that decision. And, I had to really earn it my first 3 years and grow. And my senior year is kind of when it paid off, and just the fact that, she allowed me to grow throughout that time to where I'd put myself in a position to earn her respect, to earn her playing time. And really, she's just, I guess, as a mom and coach, that's kind of what you do. But I had to, I guess, have a different experience with that. Whereas, like Nina said, she gets to go home and call her parents and scream and cry and get frustrated. I can't really leave the gym and call her 5 seconds later to complain about her. So I really had to we had to learn to deal with that aspect and not taking things too personal. But I think just my whole life has been an impact. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I always would watch you at practice, and I hope you know this, is I would always say to myself in my mind, like, Mackenzie adds so much to this team. That was a national championship team because you were one of the best practice players. Of like, maybe you weren't starting, you impacted that team by the effort and what you put into practice every day. So I hope you always know that was a huge piece of that success. Okay, Moon, this is a little unusual for you because you're just living it. Like, it's so fresh and raw for you. And I wanted to ask you, I hope it's appropriate, but this has probably been a couple of weird weeks for you, to see her go. And how are you processing all of it? And how do you still appreciate everything she's done for you? Because I think she did really believe in you and help build your confidence for you to pay off in this incredible year that you just had personally.
Absolutely. Well, it's not easy. It's not easy watching her go. The only thing that I'm excited for is that she's home, and I'm always gonna be excited for Louisiana and in that sense. But it's hard. I mean, that's who yelled at me, but also hugged me for 4 years, and that's who built me and helped me become who I am now. And from freshman year, I remember her telling my mom, because I was super homesick. It was horrible. It's just like, she's gonna call home, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of her. And then there's another moment freshman year. I remember sitting on a bench and I had on knee pads and I didn't do nothing. I had on knee pads and she like derailed me for having on knee pads. She was like, "You didn't even do nothing yet." In the huddle, in the timeout, and I was like, "Okay, it's gonna be this type of coach." But then from there on, sophomore year, when she threw me in the national championship game, and we was walking out of the huddle, and only me and her noticed, and she was like, "You got this." And that was just something so simple for a big moment in a national championship game. And in the huddle, it was all intense, but as we walked out, that's what she told me. And then my junior year, before a scrimmage, she called me over. She was like, "Listen, I need you to be sixth man of the year this year." And I was like, "Okay, coach." And obviously that didn't happen, but it was just that confidence that she had in me, the belief she had in me. And then my senior year, she said, "Moon, you have one of the best mid-range jumpers I've ever seen." And I just went out and I put that on display because she believed in me. And so every year she gave me a little bit more confidence. There are a lot of days that she yelled at me. There are also days, that like Z said, people don't necessarily see. They just expect this intense, um, just this coach, this great coach, and she is. But every year she found something to motivate me, and then I had a breakout senior year. So it's gonna be hard watching her leave.
Yeah, it's interesting is she could see something in you that maybe you didn't even see in yourselves in these moments and found a way to bring that out. So let's turn the page just a little bit because, part of this too is the experience that you had at Baylor. And, Coach Mulkey is part of that, but also part of it is your academic or your life on campus or just the impact that Baylor had on you. So Sophia, I'm going to start with you this time because it sounds like that ministry and that piece of what Baylor brings is still important to you. What would you say was the greatest part about being at Baylor and how has that impacted you still going forward?
First of all, I absolutely love Baylor. I want my kids to go there. That's how much I love the school. For me, I grew up in a Christian environment and I went to a Christian high school, and going to Baylor or being recruited by Baylor was just the tipping point for me. And the moment I walked on the campus, I knew within my spirit that is exactly where I was supposed to be. I felt that God was saying, this is it for you. And throughout my time there, the ministry experiences that I got to go through and being mentored by different pastors and even my professors who were just always so kind to me in terms of, obviously we are athletes and we know we miss a lot of schools and we miss a lot of classes, and to be able to just say, hey, I'm not going to be here. Can I do this? And I did not have a professor who was mean to me at all. And maybe that's just my personal experience, but that's just the way I felt. Oh, that's how I can categorize Baylor. And being that they have the ministry part of the school, it was something so personal to me for my development and for my growth. And I have to give credit for what Baylor has instilled within me, to be able to have obviously take chapel classes and continue on in my ministry degree, to where I went off to seminary and got a degree from there as well. So it's been a lot of different things for me that Baylor has done, but I definitely want to go back and instill that within our young student athletes, because there's so much to life, right? There's so much to life besides being an athlete, because we know that there's going to come a time, hint, when all of this glamour and glory are going to go away. But at the end of the day, we have to be living for something. And so I feel like that's part of what I learned at Baylor, and to be able to know that to be truth, so that's something that's foundational. And I think I learned that there.
Nina, I wanted to ask you about coaching, because I actually got to cover your NCAA tournament game this year for Middle Tennessee. I couldn't really say hello to you because we had these plastic glass things and there was COVID protocol, but I was like, hey, I know her. She used to play at Baylor. And you guys were playing against Tennessee in the first round. And I just wondered what part of you in coaching, like, do things come out of your mouth, or are you using motivational techniques, or what piece of your coaching right now might come in from Coach Mulkey?
Weird. A lot of it. It's really weird. Sometimes more than you can catch it. Like sometimes I'll say things like Mackenzie, she would always tell us, like, things just fall in my lap. And I tell them that all the time. It's like, how do you know that? It just falls in my lap. It's just how it goes. And I think you don't really understand it at the time when you're going through it and she's yelling at you and you're not really understanding it as a teenager, as a player. But once now that I'm in the other side of the world, it all makes sense. And I think it helps that I still lean on her a lot. We talk on the phone, we text. And before I took the job, I talked to her a lot, almost every other day. And I told her that I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a coach. I was expressing to her that I didn't know if this was my career path. And she said, well, baby, I didn't want to be a coach either. And that's kind of how she said, and she was like, and look at me now. I was like, look at you now. You're right. You're absolutely right. So I think it always helps that she can kind of be like a mentor now, when you kind of see things through her eyes. And she oftentimes sends me different things and tell me about being careful on social media and how that's changed the game. And it's definitely, I think weird would be the word, because I didn't expect it, but you're amazed to see how much stuff that's she said and that rubbed off on you, that you use the same thing. You want to teach the same plays. I was like, oh, we had a zone play that I ran at Baylor, and I teach it to them because those are all the things that she taught you. And I think deep down I said that I wasn't sure if this was my path, but then weirdly enough, in the beginning of the year, coach would always have like team meetings with us, and she would give us these binders, and it would have like different quotes and team rules and quotes and things in them. And I said that I never wanted to be a coach, but also never threw those binders away. Like I have all four of them. So I have all the plays and all the quotes and everything she taught us. So I think deep down inside, she affected the coaching world of my mind way more than I thought she did.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, I want to get to some questions and answers. So Dana Lee Haynes says, this is so nice to hear learning experiences of Coach Kim Mulkey's impact on your lives. Each of you are strong, gifted young women. Keep your hearts strong. Vicky White has a question for each of you. You've been invited to stand on stage with Michael Jordan to say one sentence about Coach Kim that epitomizes the Hall of Fame. What would your sentence be? Ooh, Vicky, that's a good question. All right, Danielle, let's start with you.
Oh, that is not fair. My one sentence to Michael Jordan about Kim Mulkey. Let's see. It would have to be something just about, I would probably say something about her personality. Like Mackenzie was saying about her being a coach and a mother. And sometimes people try to separate that, but I promise it's all rolled into one, because she's been a mother at some point to all of her players. And I would probably talk about her heart and just the energy that she brings. My sentence would be something like that. It'd be about her heart and the energy and how she's a synergist. She helps, she recruits all these young ladies, all the personalities, different backgrounds, and then we're able to come together, and she's able to put you in your role to where you're going to thrive in that spot. And I love to watch her do that. So I would definitely, my sentence would be along those lines.
Okay, let's go, Mackenzie. You're next up.
Oh gosh.
Michael Jordan is presenting her at the Hall of Fame. So that's where this question comes from.
Very excited about it.
Cool. Yeah.
Gosh, well, Danielle kind of took all the thunder, because that's pretty much epitomizes her. It's just like she's a success all around in like every aspect of her life. I definitely think she puts her whole heart into everything she does, and that's part of her success. Something
Can I add that
lines.
she would probably also, I would probably say that she would take him one-on-one for sure. Hands down. She would challenge him to a one-on-one game, and it didn't matter his Hall of Fame and his legacy, she'd take him.
She believes she can, and so she does. Okay, Sophia, how about you?
For me, I think that my one sentence would be like, she gave me an opportunity, and because of that, my life changed.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. Moon, how about you? You got to unmute, I think. There we go.
I think I would just say, don't try to figure her out, just trust her. Pretty much. I mean, she's a Hall of Famer, and all of these people on this call, and many, many more of us, all success stories. So.
Okay, and Nina, you're the last one.
I'll probably just say she's a jelly bean. Just leave it at that. I think I told her that for the first time, maybe my junior year. We were at a welcome back dinner, and it kind of just puts into perspective what everybody said about her. I told her, and she kind of looked at me weird at the time, and I said she's hard on the outside and she's soft on the inside, and that just sums her up.
Oh, I love that. I have a little plaque in my house that says, I'm 5'3", and my plaque says, and though she be little, she is fierce. So I think that might be what I say about her too. Okay, let's hit a couple other questions. Ryan, let's see. Jan Black, I loved watching each of you play. What was your favorite Kim in-game memory? Go real quick, everybody down the line. Let's start with you, Danielle.
You said the what?
Favorite in-game memory with Kim.
In-game memory, the first thing that popped into my head is that I hit a game-winning shot against Oklahoma State, and we didn't expect it. That's not how to play. She drew it up, but I hit it, and I took off running the other direction. She took off running. She jumped into the dog pile. Like, I was just like, I've never seen a coach jump into the pile with all the players, but she was just that excited. So that was like one of my best in-game memories of her going crazy. It was exciting.
Sophia.
Well, I just always remember Coach Mulkey just stumping on the sideline. You know, there's like, what is she doing? Oh, okay, good. Because she was always like, what is Sophia? Oh, so that's what.
All right, Nina.
I don't know if I have an in-game memory that pops up, but kind of the last memory that I remember her is the last game that I played there. So it was probably the second round of the tournament. And I just remember running off the court, and the last hug that we shared on that court. And well, I guess I've had more now because I've been back, but at the time she just lifted me up and she just hugged me so tight. And she was like, you didn't think an old lady at this height and this size could pick you up. And it was one of those type of moments.
Mackenzie.
I love thinking back on, like Danielle, my shots against Oklahoma State that tied the game to go to overtime. And I think that in-game memory with my mom was just great because I felt like that was when she really, like, everything had come full circle, and like I had made it to her standard. You know, I was finally doing what she believed I could do all along. But the other great in-game memories are when you're on the bench and she's yelling at the bench for everything that's going on in the game. So I'm getting mad at you while you're sitting there.
That she always turns and walks back, and like sometimes I'm sitting right there and I'm like, we need to have this mic'd up nonstop. This
yes,
hilarious.
It's a comedy show on the sideline.
It really is hilarious. Moon, how about you?
One play we had drew up, and we had set up, but she told me to do something different. But she had only told me to do it. And I scored on it. And then on my way back down, coming from the other end, she was like, Moon, I know what I'm talking about, huh? And I was like, yeah, coach, sure.
I told you I was right, and I was.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. All right. Ryan Boyd, would you like to talk, or would you talk about the impact of the rise of women's basketball at Baylor in regards to how it's benefited the athletic department as a whole and the university as a whole? Yeah, because I feel like women's basketball put Baylor on the map in a lot of different ways. I hope that's okay to say. I think it's true and I believe it. Maybe let's start with you, Sophia. What do you think the rise of basketball at Baylor has done for the whole university?
Well, I think it is okay for you to say that Baylor women's basketball is what put Baylor on the map. The reason why that is okay is because when I was at Baylor, obviously our football program wasn't that good during that time. You could actually go into the game and sit anywhere you wanted to. That's how bad it was. Now you can't even get a ticket. So, so being at Baylor back in that time when all that stuff was going on, I know Coach Mulkey had brought us as a team together and challenged us to say, hey, let's be the light of this university. Most of my teammates and I just stayed on campus all 4 years, didn't go home for the summer. We just stayed and we worked so hard. And being that our sophomore year, we lost against Tennessee, just gave us such a much drive to say, hey, we really can do this. You know, if we put in the work, if we are committed to each other, if we are committed to really making this university something that is going to be on the map, I think we can do this. So that's what we did. We stayed back all summer long. Nobody worked. We stayed in the gym and we worked so hard. And then we won a national championship and we became the light. It wasn't easy. And I say, and then we won a national championship. It wasn't easy. But because of that moment, and I really believe, obviously, that's all a part of God's grace and His divine authority. But the fact that we won the championship during that time obviously brought so much positive attention to Waco and to Baylor, and that's what started. That's literally what started the trajectory of how the campus is seen. And obviously, it brought in more recruits, it brought in more attention, it brought in more money, it brought in different facilities. So yes, I definitely think that women's basketball is what has changed Baylor altogether.
Beautiful. Okay, let's keep going because we're going to run out of time here. This is from Carl Fickling. How does a great high school student decide between one, I can go to a university and start all 4 years, versus two, I can go play under a great coach, but there's no guarantee about playing because the depth of the skill is so deep? That's a really good question, Carl, because I think that's the question that a lot of kids have to ask themselves right now. And Mackenzie, you were in a similar situation of how good do I want to be and how much do I value competing for these opportunities? So maybe let's ask Nina, because Nina, I think you were one of the top recruits in the country when you chose Baylor. Why maybe balance out those two questions for us?
Yeah, so I think it comes down to what you said. It depends on what you want in life. It's kind of like when you want an easier road or do you want the hard road? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with either one of those roads, because they're two different roads and they're both can connect and take you to the same place. But it's kind of just like, if you want to get the experience from a coach that's going to challenge you and take your game to another level. And that's kind of like why I picked Baylor at the time. I was ranked coming out, but I was the last ranked ranking in my class at the time, and coach didn't guarantee me that I would ever play. And I joke all the time and I tell people in the exhibition games, I was the 13th person off the bench and it was only 12 people on the team. And when I got my opportunity to start, it was because of someone went to a wedding and it was just a crazy situation. And I think I was up for that challenge. A lot of people questioned me and said, why would you go to Baylor? At the time, that team had just went 40-0 when I committed, and it made no logical sense. But I think it comes down to you and yourself. And I guess, as we say, betting on yourself. As people use the scenario, betting on women, you have to believe in yourself. And if you believe that you can play for that type of coach, why would you? If I could play for a top coach and make my game better and compete at a higher level, I think I always choose the hard road than the easier way.
Yeah, that's the win-win of competition is important. Okay, I love that. Terry Bailey, all of you played on national championship caliber teams, but all had tough losses in the tournament. How do you look back on the tough losses? Is it something you grow from in life? So Moon, maybe let's start with you, because you're just coming off that experience, and that was probably very difficult.
Definitely difficult. What are you gonna do? We can sit here and complain about it. Everybody knows what happens, obviously, but it is a drive in life. For me, since I was at a national championship team, I know how it feels. And so we want to get back to that. You want to have that moment again. You want to have those feelings again. So you definitely grow from it in life. You figure out how to get better, what steps you have to take, and you just use that to fuel your fire. And like I said, the feeling of a national championship is something you want to have more than once. So if you can, you put everything together and you try to go get it.
Mackenzie, I want to ask you this question, because I've never asked this, and I'm just fascinated. You know, obviously I'm obsessed with your mother. I just think she's so intriguing, but what is she like after a loss? Like, that's something I've never really talked about or heard about.
Well, thankfully they don't happen that often. They haven't in the past few years. But I guess, do you want to know from the daughter side, the coaching staff
Both.
side, or the player side?
I want all three, all of them.
Well, I think we grew up taking the losses just as hard as our children. You could probably see us up in the stands on the TV screens, like bawling our eyes out before the game was even over. So it was one of those, we don't really talk in the car going home after a loss when we were growing up, and kind of let it simmer and settle for however long it takes. And then as a player, pretty much the same thing. You just getting the intensity of it in the locker room or whatever. And of course, it always depends. Like, if it's a legitimate, like, that team has to play better than us. They played better than us. We did all we could. It was their night. Those, I mean, you kind of just accept. But when there's something that we could have done differently, or we kind of did it to ourselves, like, you know that practice is coming the next day or after your day off, and you better be ready. And you just better be able to take it. And I guess that's the same as being on the staff. You obviously, this past year, that was with, like Moon was saying, that's difficult, but you move on, and it's out of your control. But you just, as a staff member, we went into it as, obviously we're going to have to work harder too, just like players, and figure out what we did wrong and how to keep their morale high, even if she's frustrated and getting on them. So it's been interesting learning the different sides and just seeing her really from every side I could.
That's good. Okay, this one's from Nancy Yarbrough. How has Kim's faith in God encouraged your faith to grow? Danielle, let's start with you on this one.
Her belief level is amazing, as far as like her vision for things. And was the question about how it influenced? Just want to make sure I have the question. How it influenced?
How it
influenced me. She has a very deeply seated belief system, of course, and she lets us know that, and she shows it in different ways and in different manners. Like everyone always says that she's really intense, but it's on those days too where she's her intense may be quiet, and it can be felt because of her belief. In her team, her capabilities, the staff capabilities, everyone, and it's infectious. It really is. And that had a direct impact on me, as far as, especially when she first got there, because when she first got there, it's like she was inheriting a team that had got pretty beat up. We were coming off of only winning 7 games, and most of those were in preseason. So with losing 20 games in a season and her stepping out, it's like we were both kind of in the same place. And she was like, y'all, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to go out here and we're going to give it our all. And I'm going to give y'all the best of me. And I just asked for that in return. And we were able to do some amazing things. And that's because of her belief and her vision, and being able to, help us through that and see it. Even if we couldn't really see it ourselves, we held on to her vision of what she had for the program.
That's beautiful. Okay, Sophia, how about you?
Can you please repeat the question for me?
Let me repeat. Okay, how has Kim's faith in God encouraged your faith to grow?
Let's see. One thing that I love about Coach Mulkey when I played for her is the fact that she knew how strong my faith was, and she knew how much I loved God. And she never tried to deter me from that, or she never tried to make fun of that. She never tried to single me out when it came to that part of my life. And I know, even if it's saying it out loud now, it's like, it's weird. Why would she do that? But we know this happens a lot. So the fact that she allowed me to be myself, and she allowed me to grow in a place where, being at Baylor and knowing the spiritual aspect that Baylor came with, I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that she gave me the room and the freedom to develop myself in that spiritual aspect, and being that, like I said, being at a Christian university and having that maturity level from her part to say, hey, this person is wanting to do that, so let me not stand in her way at all. So I really appreciated that from her.
That's beautiful. Okay, we just have a couple minutes left. So I think I wanted to have each of you again, just maybe to close things out here, just share with us, like, I am better because of this, from either your experience at Baylor and your experience with Coach Mulkey, of just as you go into the rest of your life, what are you better at because you have had these experiences? And Moon, I'll start with you this time.
I am better at confidence, believing in myself, and trusting because I stayed here, because I followed Coach Mulkey, because I was supported by everyone here at Baylor. And in life, I'm going to use that. Just be patient. Sometimes we don't understand why now, but we're going to get it later. And so I'm just so blessed and so lucky to have had the opportunity to play for her and come to Baylor, where all these people have set up something wonderful here for us, championships and just all the benefits and things we get as an athlete. So I am better at being me. I am better at just trusting in people, in myself, in God.
Beautiful. Mackenzie, how about you?
I'd say I am better at just my strength and being a strong person and woman, and being confident, like Moon said, in myself and who I am. I think that her example, both on and off the court, my whole life, kind of has taught me how to have that strength and to go forward and be confident in what you believe in and stand by your morals, and really just not let things get to you too much. We're all human, but to, live life fully and happily and just be you.
How much pressure is your mother going to put on you to bring that grandbaby to Baton Rouge?
Yes, that's the real question.
You're going to need to write your own chapter in life and make your own decisions. But I just know that grandbaby, every time the baby's out of her arms, Cannon, she's like, "Where's my grandbaby?" I'm like, "Oh boy."
I know. And then we're just throwing another one in there. So it'll be interesting.
All right, Nina, tell us about you. How are you a better person for having this experience at Baylor?
Just a better overall person. Just kind of like everyone said, choosing Baylor will forever be one of the best decisions in my life that I made. Just like the question that you asked me, I'm glad that I chose the hard road, one that I wasn't sure about. And I think the benefits that came from it were maybe not benefits that I would have gotten from choosing the easier school or, the easier road. Because of Coach Mulkey, I've grown. When I came into Baylor, I was just an 18-year-old that couldn't run for more than 10 minutes, and I was ready to quit on life at that point. I'm a better teacher now because of her teaching me. I'm able to use that same thing and teach younger kids now. And just my faith, like choosing Baylor University. I know Mackenzie and Sophia for sure were a part of FCA. And because Mackenzie went, and that kind of like inspired me. I don't think I ever told her, but she went on the mission trip to maybe Africa, somewhere like that first. And so I ended up taking 2 mission trips to Brazil, and things like that opened up your eyes. And I'm not sure I would have got that opportunity at another school because Baylor was just, so big with that type of stuff. So just overall, in every kind of little aspect of life, Baylor will forever, I always consider Baylor home for me.
That's beautiful. I think that my favorite story from today has been, I just keep picturing the team running behind her on the bike through the streets of Waco. Like, I'm just
fun run.
I'm just dying. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Okay, Sophia, how about you? You are better in life because of what?
Well, I think being at Baylor, like I talked about, my sophomore year was a breakthrough for me. And the reason I said that is because of the boldness that I got from there. I grew up, like I told you, I was super shy and people just completely took advantage of me. And I hated that fact. I hated the fact that I was so shy and I couldn't speak up for myself. And being at Baylor and going through that time with Coach Mulkey has allowed me to be bold. And I know now when I speak to people, they cannot realize that I used to be shy. And I think obviously that started within that time and within that moment, within that whole experience. And obviously we all know that everything that happened from Baylor, it for me, it changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my family life. It's gonna change my generation. And I know when I talk to Coach Mulkey now, she always said, when we text each other, she always said, and love them kids, they're gonna grow up fast. So that must mean something really important to her, Mackenzie. Love them kids because they're gonna grow up fast. So obviously she's speaking, looking at you. So for me and my two kids, I'm taking that to heart because I think that she's speaking from experience to know that time is gonna go by really fast. So to be able to really appreciate the time that I have with my kids while they're this young.
All right, and Danielle, let's end with you. Tell us about how your life has been influenced for the good.
Influence for the good. What comes to mind is that when Coach Kim got to me and to us and the team, I was pretty beat up. Like Sophia said too, I was having doubts about wanting to play. Could I play? And she really helped me. My life is, I guess, has been blessed because now I realize that I can demand more of myself, and that the illusion of limitations is really only in my mind. And so I believe that even during that time, I was going through my own inner work, and I didn't know it, but working on me, what I believe about myself. And that has blessed me, transcended so much from playing basketball and getting to a certain level that at the time I couldn't even see for myself. But it has impacted me as far as being a better me, a better mom, a better wife, a better businesswoman, because her voice at times really do, like Nina said, it stays in your head. I ask myself certain things like, are you going to fold your tent? Am I about to tuck my tail? Like, those are things that she's used to saying. And like, making sure you keep a cool head in a hot situation. And so those things ring in whenever life shows up, as it does, because it happens. And just seeing like, who are you going to be in this moment right now? And so I have been tremendously blessed by understanding that I can be whatever I decide to be in that moment. And her decision is always to be great. And like Sophia said, to be you, to be yourself. And that's how I've been blessed by Kim Mulkey.
That's beautiful. Well, we'd like to thank everybody for being on today. I hope you had fun and enjoyed this. I don't know about all of you, but I look at this panel of women and I am just blown away. These are exceptional people. And as you could hear, their experience going to Baylor, playing for Coach Mulkey, has made them the women that they are today. And I'm just blown away by what incredible people you are. So thank you for letting me be your moderator today. This has been an honor and a pleasure to me. As I said, my obsession with this little dynamo from Tickfaw, Louisiana continues. She is just one of the most intriguing people I've ever met. And I'm just so grateful that we can celebrate her and all that she has accomplished and continue the great and exciting legacy at Baylor. They hired a new coach yesterday, and I hope that all of Baylor Nation can get behind their new coach. So thank you so much for the Baylor alumni engagement and Baylor athletics. I'm Holly Rowe. We hope you had a great time today. And please support these women, employ them, put money in their pocket. I'm just impressed with every panelist on here. Danielle, I just need to hire you to coach my life, I've decided after this.
Let's do it.
Yes, please keep these women in your hearts, Baylor Nation, and let's make sure that they succeed in life. Thank you all.